Sir Isaac Newton was born premature and had little to no chance of survival. It was a Christmas morning in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire. Stephen Hawking was also from Lincolnshire, born almost 300 years later. He almost went blind staring at the sun. When a blunt needle wasn't handy, Newton's continued ocular abuse included staring at the sun, more specifically, at a mirror position to reflect the sun's light at him while he stood in an otherwise darkened room so that his pupils would be fully dilated. Newton lucked out again. Despite performing this experiment multiple times, Newton suffered only short-term misery, which included several days of seeing really bright spots and hiding in a dark room until he recovered. But these and other observations informed Newton's research in optics. Newton tried to turn lead into gold. He studied and performed extensive experiments in the field of alchemy, a branch of pseudoscience whose practitioners sought to transmute base metals into precious gold or silver, among much else. Surviving papers indicate Newton even had a recipe for the philosopher's stone, the holy grail of alchemy. This substance was deemed essential for changing lead to gold, curing all manner of diseases, and unlocking the secrets of immortality itself, but none of these alchemical efforts worked for him. Isaac Newton's father was also called Isaac Newton. Young Isaac was called the same name in the honor of his father, who passed away just 3 months before his birth. When he was just 3 years old, his mother, Hannah Asko, left him. She left him in the care of his maternal grandmother in order to live with her new husband. Isaac Newton threatened to burn down a house. Isaac grew up having animosity towards his stepfather, Reverend Barnabas Smith, with whom his mother had 3 children. Young Newton wasn't on good terms with his mother either. He recorded all of his confessions in his personal journal. Isaac Newton's mother wanted him to be a farmer. However, Newton literally hated that profession. Overall, his rural lifestyle ended up unsuccessful. His mother knew that he was not made for rural work, so she allowed him to get his formal education. Isaac Newton was bullied at school because of his shy and quiet nature. According to the stories, he tried to prove himself better than others by concentrating his whole attention on schoolwork. Eventually, he achieved that dream. Between the ages of 12 and 17, Isaac Newton got an education at the King's School, Grantham. During this time, he resided with William Clark, who led Isaac Newton to an interest in chemistry. The King's School is still operational today, and one can see Newton's engraved signature. His uncle, Rev. William Asko, helped him to get into Trinity College. This was in Cambridge in June 1661. Since he did not possess significant wealth, he worked several part-time jobs in order to pay for his education. He mostly worked as a valet. In 1664, Isaac Newton won a 4-year scholarship to Cambridge. That gave him a chance to turn his part-time jobs into quality leisure where he could contemplate new ideas. The bubonic plague of 1665 interrupted his education. Cambridge University was closed for 2 years, during which Isaac Newton returned to Woolsthorpe Manor to work on his scientific pursuit. Actually, it was an extremely productive period for him. It was during this time that he saw a falling apple in the Woolsthorpe Manor gardens. He became a mathematics professor at Cambridge University at the age of 27. This was only a year after getting his master's degree. Impressed with Isaac Newton's mathematical works, Professor Isaac Barrow gave his post to Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton invented calculus, but he wasn't a smart investor. He lost over £20,000 investing in the South Sea Company. That amount will be over $3 million in today's estimate. Since that unpleasant event, he forbade anyone from mentioning the name South Sea while he was present.
Isaac Newton was a member of the Parliament of England. He did not contribute any accomplishments from that post. Instead, some historians humorously mentioned that while he was in Parliament, Newton only complained about the room temperature and asked to close the windows. Isaac Newton never got married. Some historians suggest that since Cambridge was the inheritance of Catholic university systems, the administration usually suggested that its students, fellows, and professors possess a celibate life. As a respected member of Cambridge University and someone who is always in the pursuit of science, Isaac Newton might not find time for his personal life, or simply, he did not want any distractions.
He wrote more about religion and alchemy than he did about science. However, that side of him remained hidden. Only in the 1960s his 10 million-word papers were published publicly. Interestingly, during his lifetime Newton did not share his religious views quite often, he just wrote about them. Newton's descendants also kept those papers secret, fearing that those papers would ruin his reputation and lead him to be accepted as a heretic. Isaac Newton died at the age of 84 from severe stomach pain. When he crossed the 80 years mark of his life, he started experiencing some digestion problems, which forced him to be on a strict diet. On March 31, 1727, Newton passed away in his sleep. Being one of the most famous people in the history of science, Isaac Newton was responsible for the theory of universal gravitation, the nature of white light, and calculus.